If you're a serious drag racer, you already know the name Steve Morris. Today, we'll meet the man behind some of the most powerful drag racing engines used in motorsport. So get ready. IDR's coming at you next.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Inside Drag Racing, coming to you from the western shore of Lake Michigan and the town of Muskegon, Michigan, home to one of the north central United States' most prolific engine builders, and indeed, your chance to gain some serious insight into a variety of techniques involved in engine building. We're talking, of course, about Steve Morris Racing Engines, located here in Muskegon, that indeed is probably one of the most diverse engine construction facilities you will ever find, not just in the number of engines that go into different types of cars, but in fact in the different types of engines themselves. Now bear in mind, when one is selecting an engine builder, it almost always comes down to reputation. For an engine builder, the first engine that you put together that doesn't come up to a customer's standards is indeed the first step down in your reputation. Therefore, the pressure is always on to keep producing not only the most competitive pieces, but also the most innovative. And nobody knows that better than Steve Morris himself. As a matter of fact, some of you may recognize this guy as, well, part of one of the winningest NHRA Pro Stock teams of all time.
Yeah, back in the late 90s, I used to work with Richard Maskin and his engine program, back when we were doing work for Jim Yates and several other leasing programs.
What do you like working on the most?
To tell you the truth, my favorite stuff is these pump gas ProCharger motors.
Really?
Yeah, I love these things. They're just, they're very practical application for some serious horsepower with a lot less maintenance than it takes for anything else.
That sounds like not only an interesting angle, but maybe some big news on the way. Maybe we can talk Steve Morris into showing us a little bit more about ProCharger motors. When Inside Drag Racing returns, I promise you'll get a look at something that, well, quite honestly, you may never have seen before put into a bracket racing or heads-up racing application. By the way, Steve Morris Racing Engines is responsible for this machine owned by Tom Steiner that indeed is the track record holder at Muskegon at 199.90 miles per hour. Nobody else has ever come that close to 200 miles per hour at Thunderbird Dragway. And here at Steve Morris Racing Engines, you'll find a variety of other machines, including one of the most outrageous Pro Street style Camaros you'll ever see. Well, both old and new. If you come inside, you'll see a couple of other versions of Pro Street material. But when you look at that dragster, most people, well, I walked up to it and said, oh, it's a turbocharged car. And then I said, oh, no, it's not. And then you said it's a...
Yeah, it's a ProCharger motor.
A Pro-charged small block dragster.
Yep. Something different. I had even talked to the guys at ProCharger, and they said they'd never heard of one going on a dragster yet.
Yeah, it's the first one I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's something we're really trying to head people that way into building something like that, even in dragsters or any kind of bracket car or fast bracket car, quick 8 type stuff.
Well, you had mentioned before that you like the application with ProCharger and gasoline. Now, behind you is a classic Roots supercharged engine that I believe is a boat application.
Yep.
It looks like it has an intercooler on it. Am I not mistaken?
Yeah, that has a super chiller intercooler on it. That's one of our 950 horsepower pieces. Runs on pump gas, same thing.
Okay, but that's a big block with 2 4-barrels, a blower, and an intercooler, right?
Yeah, it's a 572 cubic inch motor.
Okay, now the dragster motor, the one almost 200 miles an hour, is a single 4-barrel, small block ProCharger motor.
Correct.
Okay, why can that thing go so fast as opposed to one of these big blocks?
The ProCharger, those things are just extremely efficient. For example, later on we'll be looking at our ProCharger motor that's on the dyno. This root system with an intercooler made 100 horsepower less than the same ProCharger motor with just a single carburetor. Same fuel, same timing, same motor. We literally took that supercharger off of that motor and put a ProCharger on it instead with a single carburetor.
Single carburetor, centrifugal blower, which is what a ProCharger is, makes 100 more than a Roots blower with 2 4-barrels.
Correct.
That's pretty brutal stuff.
Yeah, that's about as much as, with a single carbureted form, that's about as much as we can get. Honest 1050 horsepower, single carbureted, that's as much as you're going to get out of the carburetor. The fuel system ends up being the limitation on what we can do with it. We spend all our time making the combination work with the cylinder heads that we get.
So you're the black magic guy.
You could say that.
Yeah, you definitely could say that. Because let's face it, when it all comes down to it, you're buying an engine from somebody for what's up there as opposed to what might actually be in that engine. When Inside Drag Racing returns, I heard this guy say something about a dyno room and an engine and one that's ready to run. A Pro-Charged engine at that? Stay with us. We're going to take you inside for the big burn down. In the Steve Morris dyno room is an engine a lot of people don't ever get the chance to see. And I say that because most of the time it's under body work. When we cover the National Mustang Racers Association Pro 5.0 cars, or for that matter, the Outlaw Super Street cars, everybody hears about a Pro-Charged single 4-barrel small block motor or big block motor, but they don't ever really get a chance to see what a Pro-Charger looks like. And that carburetor sticking out on its own there really lends itself to deception. People don't believe that it's really a supercharged combination.
Yeah, the blow-through carburetors, it seems to be catching on, getting a little bit bigger. I really like it for economical bracket motor type stuff or for street car application.
Well, most people know of it for the street car application, but I don't know personally of any Pro-Charger motor out there being bracket raced today. Is it becoming more popular?
I'd like to see it become more popular. They're very good on not beating up the engine. You know, we can make 1,000 horsepower without harming the engine hardly at all. They're very gentle on parts. You know, this thing is a hydraulic roller cam piece. You're never even going to go in and adjust the valve.
All right, how much power do you want this thing to make?
We've already been running this, and on pump fuel, this is running on 92 octane through that intercooler. We're at 1050 and 1,015 foot-pounds of torque, and that's making 1050 horsepower at 5,500 RPMs.
1,050 horsepower. How quick do you want this wagon to go?
It's more for show. It's never gonna, you know, our goal is to go down the track once and have us, you know, have them tell us that we can't do it anymore because it goes too fast. So
okay, that's a good enough reason for me. Now you're gonna fire this thing up for us?
Yep, we can do that.
I want to see this much. When you look at the different applications that we've shown to you here today, obviously Steve Morris has his finger on the pulse of current technology as well as what is most likely going to be happening in the future. When you look at that Pro-Charged single 4-barrel big block back there and realize that that's going in a street car, or for that matter, look at a Pro-Charged small block dragster that's gone on almost 200 miles per hour, or take it to Jared Warner's Pro Street machine that's sitting back there, which is indeed a 707 cubic inch Liberty equipped nitrous car. Then add the truck pulls, the boats, and everything else that this guy works on. Obviously, Steve Morris can handle just about any conceivable job. But more importantly, you're going to be hearing a lot in the future, especially in drag racing, about what kind of performance this man's personal technology produces.